Fundamentals of Banking and Finance, Module 1, Study Session 2, Types of Business Organization 1. The expected duration of this study session is 1 week. Introduction. In this study session, you will learn some basic types of business organizations that could be found in Nigeria. They include the one-man business, the partnership, the limited companies, public corporations, and cooperative societies. You will learn how they are being formed, financed, and managed in Nigeria. It is very interesting and will be of immense benefit to you, especially these days the government is emphasizing on entrepreneurship development. Learning outcomes. At the end of this unit, you will be able to define and use correctly keywords in your online manual, describe the types of business organizations, appreciate the formation of the basic business types, ascertain how the businesses obtain their finance, mention the major advantages and disadvantages of each business type. Sole proprietorship or one-man business or sole trader. Sole proprietorship. You may have noticed the multiplicity of small businesses around you. Some are in the service sectors as shoe shiners, hairdressers, dry cleaners, and so on. Others try to engage in small-scale production like shoemakers, dress/cloth manufacturers, and so on. By definition, as the name implies, sole proprietorship is the form of business organization that is owned, organized, and operated by one individual. No organizational papers are required to be drawn up before it could be started. Anyone can just get up and decide to start a small retail business. The assets, earnings, and debts are that of the owner. Sometimes, the number of employees in the payroll measures the economic power of the enterprise. This type of business organization outnumbers other types, but unfortunately, it is far less than others in terms of payroll. One-man business flourishes well only if 1. A small capital is needed to set up the business, 2. Where personal attention to the needs of the customers is important, and 3. Where specialized skill is required. One-man business is very ideal. This type of business organization is common in the retail trade, other service industries, and some professional activities. Visit the local market around you and make a note on the small-scale or one-man businesses around you. Find out how they are formed and their financial strength. Check also their turnover and employment need. Write them down and compare notes with friends. Financing. You may be wondering why this type of business is everywhere. This is partly because the capital requirement for setting up this type of business is very small compared with other business forms. The proprietor may be able to raise it through his personal savings, borrowing from friends and relations, daily contribution societies, short-term bank loan, trade credit purchases, and all that. These small capital requirements may become a problem when the business needs to be expanded beyond its present scope of activities. In-text question: how does one-man business raise funds to start its operation? Answer: a one-man business can raise funds through personal savings, borrowing from friends and relations, daily contribution societies, short-term bank loans, trade credit purchases, and so on. Advantages of this form of business. This form of business confers a lot of advantages to the owners, which makes it to be everywhere. The owner derives some advantages, some of which will be explained below. 1. Profit. The sole proprietor appropriates all the profit of the business alone. Since he is the owner and controller, the success of the business depends on his personal initiatives and hard work. 2. Privacy. The sole trader is not under any obligation to disclose his business tactics to anyone. Therefore, he alone devises and utilizes his business strategy to maintain his competitive position. He also enjoys privacy in accounts. He is not bound by any existing law to publish his accounts in the newspaper for public consumption, as is the case with joint stock companies. 3. Direct contact with employees and customers. The proprietor is in direct contact with his employees and customers. Therefore, he maintains close relations and is better opportune to render personal and satisfactory services. It personally knows his employees and therefore supervises them effectively to achieve maximum efficiency. It can better also assess the creditworthiness of his customers and is able to avoid incidents of bad debts to an acceptable minimum. It can better also assess the creditworthiness of his customers and is able to avoid incidents of bad debts to an acceptable minimum. A debt has gone bad when it is irrecoverable. Too many of them can put a firm into a very difficult financial condition. There is cordial relationship between the employer and the employees. The employer gives them loans, extends visits, gives them gifts when their wives give birth or during festivals. This is quite unlike the big businesses where the managers are very far away from the workers. Number 4, ease of information. No organizational papers need to be drawn up before a sole trader starts business. The only legal requirement for starting this type of business is registration under the Registration of Business Names Act in some cases. After registration, a license will be issued to the proprietor. Number 5, quick decision making. The proprietor has no need to consult anybody before making or taking any decision. He therefore stands a better chance than others to take advantage of a good business opportunity to make profit and adapt to changes. Independence. The owner is independent of anybody. As a sole proprietor, he has the privilege of answering chairman and managing director, an appellation most valued by our illiterate community. He has the freedom to open for business at any time and also close at will, although sole traders tend to work for a longer time during any working day. He can even combine the business with any other kinds of business, e.g. being a contractor and farmer, a farmer and trader. Number 7, tax advantages. The sole trader pays personal income tax on the amount of income he is able to declare. This is quite unlike the joint stock companies that pay company income tax at the stated company income tax rate. Sole traders are able to avoid and evade taxes. This is because there are too many and do not publish their accounts. They derive and exploit all the loopholes in the present tax laws to avoid paying taxes. When they count this as an advantage, government has lost huge amounts of revenue as a result of such sharp practices. Number 8, self-interest. Self-interest of the owner matters a lot. He has every opportunity and incentive to make the business as effective as possible by taking all precautionary measures to avoid wastages. As the owner, he has the opportunity to extend the period of work in a bid to make the business a success. He then can enjoy the pride of ownership. Number 9, ease of dissolution. The sole trader can go out of business anytime he likes. This feature is very important because there are businesses that are set up to last for a limited period. They are involved in a minimum number of transactions. This applies to merchandising during Christmas seasons. Everything that has advantages also poses disadvantages. Many are the attractions of a sole trader, but it has its own shortcomings, as you will learn next. Box 2.1. Success factors for one-man business. Do not forget that one-man business flourishes when only if A small capital is needed to set up the business, B, where personal attention to the needs of the customers is important, and C, where specialized skill is required. One-man business is very ideal. Disadvantages. Number 1, limited financial capacity. In spite of all these advantages, this form of business organization suffers from financial disability. There is a limit to financing more than any other business form. The amount the owner has is limited to his personal savings, borrowing from friends and relations, trade credit in most cases, and perhaps the amount he can borrow from the banks. Sole proprietors normally do not have access to large amounts of capital because of their size and method of keeping accounts. Banks and other financial houses consider them very risky borrowers and are reluctant to extend loans to them. 2. Limited scope for expansion. Due to the limited financial capability, when the volume of business increases, large investments in capital equipment, inventory, and cash will be required. Even if the owner has been able to borrow money, he may reach a point where he cannot borrow additional funds without increasing his equity investments. As increased demand is made for the debt capital, lenders will insist on an increase in the equity capital because the firm's equity provides a margin of safety to the lenders. At this point, the sole proprietorship form of organization displays its basic weakness. Therefore, unless enough profit is generated out of operations to meet increased equity needs, the business is either prevented from achieving its maximum growth or is required to adopt a more appropriate form of organization for capital raising purposes. Of course, many of the existing partnership and perhaps joint stock companies started out like this. Number 3, unlimited financial liability. Another disadvantage of the sole proprietorship is that of unlimited financial liability. The proprietor's position as it relates to liability for debts of the business is an unfavorable one. This is because creditors have recourse not only to the assets of the business for the settlement of their claims, but also on the personal property of the proprietor if the business asset is not enough to settle the creditors. Number 4, lack of continuity. You may see a business open today and tomorrow it is closed. The business will close for one reason or the other. This is because this form of business organization has uncertain lifespan. It is becoming increasingly important to the stakeholders such as customers, suppliers, employees, and so on for the survival of the business to be guaranteed. A sole trader does not offer this stability. The owner may elect to quit doing business anytime he prefers or when death or sickness strikes. Number 5, managerial deficiency. Most one-man business operators are illiterate and lack managerial acumen. He is expected to be a person who will be able to handle a wide variety of business activities both in the managerial and operational levels. At a smaller scale, the owner may be able to plan and coordinate all the activities, but as the volume of business becomes very complex, his ability will be stretched and he will be forced to look for more capable managers and operatives who might be difficult to attract because of poor conditions of service. In-text question. Mention the major attractions of a one-man business. Answer. The major attractions are ease of formation and dissolution, self-interest and profit appropriation, tax advantages, and so on. It is important to note that when the need for expansion and better managerial capacity exists, the sole trader displays its basic disadvantage, giving rise to the need for higher business form where two heads are needed and the injection of more money in form of partnership contribution is guaranteed. As you have learnt the sole trader and its disadvantages, we can now examine the partnership form of business. Partnership. Definition. Partnership is an association of two or more persons carrying on business with a view to making and sharing profit. Partnership form of business organization has many of the features of the sole trader but has some outstanding advantages over it. It is an attempt to make the best of both worlds. One is to pool more resources together and escape one of the major limitations of the sole proprietorship. The other is to escape the legal and administrative inconveniences and consequences that often accompany incorporation. Formation. In the formation of a partnership, there are no particular rules about the form of the agreement to guide members. It may be made by writing, orally, or by deed. However, to avoid confusion, it is wise to draw up a written agreement. The one that is generally used is the Articles of Partnership. In the documents drawn and signed by the members, the following should be included. 1. The name of the partnership. 2. Names of the partners. 3. Nature of the business to be conducted. 4. Capital contribution by each of the partners. 5. Method to be followed in sharing profits and losses. 6. Agency powers of the partners. 7. Procedure for admitting new partners. 8. Procedure for a partner's withdrawal from the firm. 9. Procedures to be followed and how assets should be distributed on dissolution. 10. Bank account and signatories to it. 11. Whether interest is to be paid on capital, withdrawals, and the specific percentage. 12. Duties of the partners. 13. Rights on the death of a partner. 14. Arbitration clause. To obtain registration, the particulars drawn up above must be forwarded to the appropriate ministry with full postal addresses of any other business or occupations of partners. No two partnerships should or are registered with the same names, as this will appear as if they are the same. This is to avoid deceiving the public as to the identities of the products. There are many types of partnerships depending on the form of agreement. Some people, especially those who are working in the ministry, give or contribute money for the running of business and expect return as agreed. They do not take part in the running of the business and sometimes are not known to be partners. The various forms are the content of the next section. Kinds of partnership. There are two kinds of partnership that could be formed. 1. General partnership. This is established when all partners carry on business as co-owners. All partners are liable for the debts of the business. They all partake on equal terms in the management of the business in their respective capacities. They share the profits and losses on equal basis. Number 2. Limited partnerships. This is composed of one or more general partners and one or more limited partners. A limited partner is one whose liability is limited to the amount he contributed to the capital of the partnership. Normally, a limited partner does not take part in the management of the business, although he retains the right to 1. Inspect and copy all partnership books. 2. Demand and receive full information on all things affecting the partnership. 3. Have a dissolution and winding up by order of court to the same extent as that possessed by a general partner. And 4. Receive a share of partnership profits and the return of his contribution upon withdrawal or dissolution. There are various other kinds of partners depending on their roles in the business. For instance, there may be a secret partner. He takes active part in the affairs of the business but is not personally known to the public as a partner. There is also a silent partner who does not take part in the management of the business but is known to be a partner. A dormant partner is neither known to the public nor takes active part in the affairs of the business. A nominal partner is not actually a partner but holds or portrays himself as a partner. In-text question. Differentiate between a general and a limited partner. Answer. The major difference is management. A limited partner does not take part in management, but a general partner does. Joint venture. Joint venture could be distinguished from partnership on the basis of continuity. When two or more persons form a temporary business for a specific undertaking, it is called a joint venture. Such business does not continue after the specific objective has been achieved. Partnership enjoys most of the advantages and disadvantages of sole trader. It is just that two good heads are better than one and more funding. You can now study and notice the differences among them. Advantages of partnership. Number 1, expanded financial capability. Partnership resembles the sole proprietorship in a technical sense, but differs fundamentally in many areas. Undoubtedly, one of the most important reasons for the popularity of the partnership arrangement is the fact that it enables the businessmen to pool their resources without the complications that often accompany incorporation. In some instances, the partnership form of organization exists from the beginning of the business operation as described above. In that case, the property, equipment, knowledge and skills for the business purpose are acquired through the joint contribution of the partners. In some other cases, enterprise that began as a sole proprietorship may reach a point where additional growth is impossible without an increase in equity capital. Conversion to the partnership arrangement is one sure way of obtaining this additional equity base. Therefore, partnership enjoys more capital than the sole trader. They have more access to borrowed funds than the sole proprietorship. 2. Complementary management skills. There is also specialization in management. Each partner will bring his expertise to bear in the management of the enterprise. One partner may be in charge of production and sales. Finance and accounting can be handled by others. This complementary management skill is usually one of the major attractions of the partnership business forms. Two heads are better than one is an age-old adage. Better decisions are also made since all possible alternatives may be examined before one course is finally selected for action. Number 3. Ease of formation. Partnership business form, like the sole proprietorship, is very easy to form. The organizational papers are limited to the extent of trust each partner has on one another. The legal requirements are minimal and are sometimes limited to registration of business names. Number 4. Privacy. Like the one-man business, partnerships enjoy privacy in accounts. The business is not required to publish its accounts to the public. They are not open to public inspection. Only members of the partnership have access to the accounts when they wish. Box 2.2. Rights of limited partner. Normally, a limited partner does not take part in the management of the business, although he retains the right to 1. Inspect and copy your partnership books. 2. Demand and receive full information on all things affecting the partnership. 3. Have a dissolution or winding up by order of court to the same extent as that possessed by a general partner. And 4. Receive a share of partnership profits and the return of his contributions upon withdrawal or dissolution. 5. Close relationship. There is close relationship between customers and members of a partnership. For instance, members of the same family can form a partnership. Cordial relations exist between buyers and sellers. In order to protect their business interest, members of the partnership move close to their customers and workers to create room for good labor relations. Disadvantages of partnerships. In spite of all the above advantages, partnership businesses form has some disadvantages, which include the following. 1. Unlimited liability. This means the partners are required to pay the debts of the partnership from private sources if the business fails to generate enough revenue to pay its debts. This is also the case if the net worth of the business is less than its debt. However, the position of limited partners is different. They only lose the amount equivalent to their total investment in the partnership, even if one of the partners negotiates a contract that results in a substantial loss. Each partner suffers loss in proportion to the previously agreed upon terms of distribution of profits and losses. This is true whether the partner that was responsible for the loss was pursuing his specific responsibilities or violating his authorized/agency powers as set out in the partnership deed. The other partners may, however, take legal action against him. More serious, perhaps, is the partner's liability for the actions of the business. Under the partnership law, each partner has joint and several liabilities for the debts of the business. This permits creditors to seek satisfaction from one or more of the partners if the remaining partner is unable to bear his own share of the loss. 2. Disadvantage: no legal status. This serious disadvantage stems from the fact that partnerships are not legal entities. They are not different from their owners and therefore cannot sue or be sued apart from their owners. As a result, the business property and liabilities are the same as those of the owners. 3. Lack of continuity. The fact that partnerships are not legal entities brings another problem of lack of continuity in the case of death, imprisonment, insanity, and so on of a member. Thus, continuity of partnership is permanently disrupted when a partner is no longer able or willing to continue in the business. In this case, the procedure for dissolution as already laid down in the Articles of Partnership will be followed. If a partner dies or withdraws the amount he contributed, the financial position of the business will be jeopardized, especially if the amount is large or he was a key partner. Admission of a new partner. Admission of new partners may cause trouble, which would lead to the eventual dissolution of the business unless the procedure and type of partner to admit has previously been stated in the deed of partnership. One of the partners may like to bring in his brother or friend who is not acceptable to other partners. 5. Mistrust among partners. Partnership is founded on trust among the members. When this is lacking, the continued existence of such business becomes doubtful. If there exists lack of trust among the members, especially when one has consistently manifested some doubtful or dubious character after the commencement of the business will fold up. This is because it leads to interpersonal disagreement, quarrels, and court action. 5. 6. Non-transferability of interest. Members cannot transfer their interest in the partnership. Therefore, it is difficult to withdraw once investment has been made without the business folding up. A withdrawing member must find someone else that is acceptable to others or an existing partner to buy his interest or share in the business. 7. Slow decision making. Although high quality decisions may be reached in this business form than in sole proprietorship, the process is usually very slow and may hinder the quick exploration of a profitable business opportunity. Financing. All the financial sources that the sole proprietorship enjoys are available to partnership form with the added advantage of expanded financial capability through contributions by members. Besides, partnerships stand a better chance of being able to fulfill the conditions for bank lending. The goodwill or personal public relations of members may influence the application and collection of bank loan. Private limited company. A private limited company is a legal entity or person created by law recognizing the association of number of persons for the purpose of a defined object. Formation. This form of business organization may come about as a result of general partnership that wants to raise more capital while limiting its liability, or a group of persons forming a private limited company. This type of business organization may be viewed as a special form of partnership. How is it different from general partnership? Under certain conditions, it restricts the right to transfer its shares, limits the number of its members to 50 or as amended, prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for any shares or debentures of the company, and maintains privacy in accounts. The major difference is the limited financial liability that it enjoys. Box 2.3. Definitions. Do not forget the following. Sole proprietorship. As the name implies, this form of business organization is owned, organized, and operated by one individual. Partnership. This is an association of two or more persons carrying on business with a view to making and sharing profit. Private limited company. A private limited company is a legal entity or person created by law recognizing the association of a number of persons for the purpose of a defined object. Session summary. In this session, you have learned the following. 1. That sole proprietorship is a form of business organization that is owned, organized, and operated by one individual. 2. The partnership is an association of two or more persons carrying on business with a view to making and sharing profit. 3. That a private limited company is a legal entity/person created by law recognizing the association of a number of persons for the purpose of a defined object. 4. That a sole proprietor appropriates all the profits of the business alone. And 5. All the financing sources that a sole proprietor enjoys are available to partnership form with the added advantage of expanded financial capability through contributions to or by members. Self-assessment questions, SAQs. As you have now completed the study session, answer the following questions to see how far you have achieved its learning objectives. Study question 1. Define and use correctly keywords in your online manual. 2. Identify the categories where the following businesses are likely going to belong to: Dangote and Sunny Foods Nigeria Limited, Mama Emeka Canteen, God is Good Motors, Peace Mass Transit, Emzo Paracetamol, Upong and Omotosho Law Firm, GlaxoSmithKline. 3. With regards to its formation, how does a partnership differ from the sole proprietorship? 4. With regards to getting finance, what is the relationship between the sole proprietorship and partnership? 5. Give 5 reasons why you think sole proprietorship is more attractive to partnership. Further references and readings can be found in your online manual, Kent RP 1969, Corporate Financial Management, Richard D. Irwin Inc., Homewood, Illinois. Brands LK 1965, Business Finance, A Management Approach, Princeton Hall Inc. Skoll LD Halley CW 1977, Introduction to Financial Management, McGraw-Hill Inc. Okoro OEU 2009, Introduction to Banking and Finance, Enugu, Two-Way Publishers. And this is the end of study session 2.